Hello, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest opposition preview. Before I introduce our guest today, who is a goalkeeping legend, let's have a little word from our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. Hello, Mark. Thanks for joining us today on our Nottingham Forest AFC Bournemouth preview. If it's okay first, are we all right just to go through some questions about yourself and learn a little bit about your career and your time in the game?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so what's your earliest memories of getting into playing football?
Well, I started playing football at a young age, 10, 11 years old, local football, and we had quite a successful team in the Sheffield area, which is where I am. I'm born and bred Barnsley, but the main football is the Sheffield and district area. So, and a lot of us started getting trials. When we got to the age of 15, 16, we started getting trials, went to Watford, got homesick, so I came home, got offered an apprenticeship at Watford. Didn't take it because I wanted to be closer to home. And then I went back playing local football and got scouted by Nottingham Forest, and then ended up being there 13 years. So, and 393 games. So it was quite rapid. When I got to the age of 16, it was quite a rapid progress from then. But I used to be a centre back.
Oh, really?
Right up until being 15 years old. And then the goalkeeper got injured, so they always put the biggest one in because there's no substitute goalkeepers back then. And they always put the biggest one in goal, which was me. And then and since that day, I never moved.
Ah, okay. All right. So when you were growing up, was there any teams that you supported, or?
I always like to see my hometown team doing well, Barnsley. All the local teams, the Sheffield clubs. I've never really supported anybody. I've always, because back then on Saturdays you played Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, so you never had a chance to go to the football really, and we only had match of the day. So, but yeah, the local teams. But I'm a Forest fan. Forest were brilliant for me, and I've got like an affinity there. I'm working there now as well, so I'm at the game on Saturday. So I'm working in the corporate there. So I'm a Nottingham Forest supporter.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. Obviously, you had a very long, successful career with Forest. So growing up, then I suppose really you wouldn't have had a goalkeeping hero. Obviously,
no. Alan Clark was my hero. Leeds United, because my dad took me to watch Leeds in a midweek game, and Leeds United then were the best team around. And I took a shine to Alan Clark because he scored all the goals. So he was like my first football presentation. When we won medals at junior football, he presented it to me. So he became my my hero. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, right. So yeah, that's quite interesting because I'd never ever. I thought you'd have been a goalkeeper from the start of your playing days. But so that's, it's amazing what you learn.
It's a good job the goalkeeper got injured because I would have never have made it as a centre half. I wasn't quick enough.
Yeah, it's amazing how things work out in football. How did you get on during your youth days at Forest? I mean, who's was there anyone inspired you when they were coaching you during your younger days?
Well, Brian Clough was first team manager. I had 6 years with Brian Clough.
Yeah.
And I loved him. He was tough on you, but he was very, very fair. But my goalkeeping coach was a fella called Alan Hill when I first went to Forest. So he looked after the golf, and he was a Barnsley lad. He was the one that spotted me. He was the one that signed me, and he was my mentor really through my career.
Yeah. Obviously, you touched on the legendary Brian Clough there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of your famous stories about Cloughie?
Well, the one that I tell on the after dinner circuit, the main one that goes down best is when he actually got me to play for his son's Sunday league team. I don't know whether you've heard it, but basically, long story short, I'd played 3 games in the first team at 19 years old. He'd picked me to play in the first team, and apparently he's seen a little chink in the armour, like I was getting a little bit too big for my boots, thinking that I'd made it. So he knocked me back down to earth. So we played Coventry on the Saturday. We won 3-2. And then he asked me to report to his house on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. I didn't have a clue where he lived. I didn't know how to get there. I couldn't drive at the time. So I had to ask the groundsman to take me. He took me through. And I went to his house, and his wife made me a cup of tea, Barbara, and I sat down chatting to him in the kitchen. And he came in the kitchen and said, "Thank you for agreeing to play for Simon's team this morning." Now, Simon was his son.
Yeah.
And he was the manager of a team in Division 5, Derbyshire Sunday League, called AC Hunters. And they hadn't got a goalkeeper. So Cloughie made me play for his team, and the team got fined 50 quid for playing a ringer. We won the game. I was the ringer, and he took the 50 quid out of my wages at Forest to pay the fine.
Oh God.
So that was him like trying to keep your feet on the ground, bring you back down to earth.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen lots of documentaries on Brian Clough, and that. To be honest, I don't think there'll ever be another manager like him. I mean, the things he used to do and just get away with was amazing. I did hear a story once of a ghetto blaster.
Yeah.
Wimbledon. Is that right?
Yeah, Wimbledon came, and they were the first team that used to bring the big ghetto blast, that the music in the dressing room. And Cloughie, when they turned it up very loud, Cloughie wasn't too happy, and he asked the assistant manager Alan Hill to go and ask them to turn it down. So he went down to the dressing room, and Vinnie Jones answered the door and said, "What's up with you? What can I do for you?" And he said, "Well, our manager wants you to turn the music down." So he turned the music down, but when he came back up to our dressing room, they turned it up even louder. So Cloughie got up off his seat, went down to the dressing room, barged in their dressing room, smashed the ghetto blaster, and said, "Now play your music, Wimbledon." And we hammered them 4-1 as well.
Oh, that's the old day of the when it was the proper crazy gang.
That's right, yeah, all the crazy gang, yeah. I don't think many people would dare walk in their dressing room, do you?
No, to be honest, not the likes of Vinnie Jones in there. But obviously that's just the character, Brian Clough.
But that's Cloughie for you.
Yeah. So many great stories. I noticed that you had a little loan move to Man United.
I did, yeah, I did.
How did that materialise?
Basically, I don't know whether you remember, but Mark Robbins scored a goal. Get away. Sorry about that. The dog's intervening. Are you a Forest fan as well, Roxy? Yeah. Go on. Out. Sorry, mate.
That's all right.
Out. What were we talking about there?
You moved to
Man United. Yeah. What happened was Man United. I don't know whether you remember. Mark Robbins scored an header against Forest and actually saved Fergie his job.
Right.
There was talk that he was going to get the sack, and if they didn't win in this FA Cup game. Anyway, Mark Robbins scored, but it was against us, Forest. I wasn't playing in the game. I played at Old Trafford earlier on in the year, so that meant that we were out the FA Cup. So Mark Bosnich couldn't get a work permit at the time at Manchester United. Jim Leighton was the first team goalkeeper, so they didn't have cover for the FA Cup run. So I went there on loan for 1 month. as cover for Jim Leighton in the FA Cup. I didn't play in the first team, but I had a fantastic month there working with Sir Alex and the team, and Steve Bruce, the captain, and Mark Hughes and Brian Robson. So it was a fantastic month, great experience for myself and a great learning curve, So yeah, that's how it come about. They asked me to go as cover, and Cloughy let me go and then called me back after a month and put me in the team at Forest.
Ah, right. Okay. And is that when your first choice
I
goalkeeping
played 15 games that season, and then the season after, that's when I became ever present for the next
present?
how many years, was 8 or 9 years, however long it was.
Ah, right. Okay. So which game would you say when you were playing for Forest you made your best performance or performances? Any games out for you? Or?
We had a run in Cloughie's last year. We got relegated 92-93, first year of the Premier League, and then Frank Clark became manager, and he took us straight back up to the Premier League. And the following season, we finished third, which is still a record today, along with Newcastle, for a team that's finished highest after getting promoted from the Championship. And that season was my best season in football. They got 17 clean sheets. Just come up from the Championship, and I was playing the best football of my career in that first season back in the Premier League. We then got into Europe. Because we finished third, we got into Europe, but it was only the top two then that went into the Champions League. Third players went into the UEFA Cup, and we went to UEFA Cup, got to the quarterfinals, and kept 5 clean sheets in 6 games in that run as well. So that patch of the mid-90s, I can't really say a game that sticks out, but for consistency, them seasons were my best seasons.
Oh, right.
And playing in an FA Cup final as well in '91 against Tottenham and saving Gary Lineker's penalty. So
yeah,
only one to save Matt Letizier's penalty as well. So I was renowned for saving penalties apparently.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, old Letiz. Yeah, you're the only one that's ever done it, ain't you, Letizier?
That's right. Yeah, 48. Yeah. I think he took 48 and missed one. Yeah, and I was the one that saved it.
That's not a bad record to have.
No.
So after obviously Brian Clough left, obviously he was renowned for wanting to run the club really from top to bottom. I mean, how did things change at the City Ground when he departed?
Well, Frank Clark became manager for the next 3 seasons, so he was an ex-player, so he knew everything about the club. So he carried on the momentum really. But then I'm led to believe that the club lost money on the stock market. They floated on the stock market, lost money, and we had to sell all our best players to make the books balance. So that was when things started to go wrong. That's when in 1999 we were relegated back to the Championship, and the club never recovered for 23 years until like yourselves now, back in the big time.
Back in the big time, yes, certainly. So, in your days at Forest, who's the best player or the best players you would say that you've played with? Because you played
I played with Stuart Pearce, England captain, so he's up there. Des Walker. In the later years in the 90s, we signed Stan Collymore, who was outstanding. Brian Roy, played with Brian Roy, Steve Stone, and the list goes on, really. It's too hard to say the best player, but I've just named a few there that you'd think, top class, all internationals. There's no doubt that the club was in a good place, and we had good players and a good team. So, especially in the 90s.
Yeah, there's a lot of names in the 90s for Forest that really stand out, and obviously for me, Stuart Pearce was always one of my favourites. Great player. Loved watching him play for England, to be honest.
Yeah, he's very passionate.
Yeah, extremely passionate. I mean, that penalty against Spain in Euro '96. After missing the one in Italia '90, that took some doing to want to do that. So I mean, yeah, he's always been one of my favourite England players, Stuart Pearce. Just touching on the international scene there. caps for Wales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had three England under-21 caps.
Right. Okay.
But then I never broke into the England squad after that. Although, like I said, in the 90s, I was playing the best football of my career. And as I got to 26 years old, I got a Welsh ancestry and Scottish, and I got phone calls from both. But Neville Southall was coming towards the end of his career, and I thought, and Bobby Gould was managing. He said to me that I would naturally take over from Neville. Unfortunately, I got a bad back injury, which kept me out for 18 months, and Paul Jones took his chance. So I only managed to get 8 caps for Wales. But the reason I could play for Wales is because my grandfather was Welsh.
Ah, right. Okay.
Mm.
So after you eventually left Forest, you went on to play for Middlesbrough and Fulham.
Mm-hmm.
What was your experiences at those two clubs?
Brian Robson signed me at Middlesbrough. I went as a number 2 to Mark Crossley, but I always thought I would eventually get in the team, and I did, and kept 11 clean sheets in 22 games, and I was left out the team, so I thought it was time to move on. But I had 3 years there, and under Brian Robson and Steve McLaren and Terry Venables, so it's a fantastic club, great people, great supporters. Really loved my time up there. But then they moved. Chris Coleman, who I'd played with at Wales, was the manager of Fulham, and he wanted to take me there. And I worked with Edwin van der Sar.
Oh yeah.
And then Edwin moved to Manchester United, and I got in the team at Fulham then. And unfortunately, I got the back problem again, so I wasn't able to sustain fitness. So I didn't play as many games as I would have liked for Fulham, although, again, fantastic little football club with, great history. And Al Fayed was the chairman, so we got the little perks at Harrods as well. So that was good times.
Yeah. Did you play at the time with a young Jimmy Bullard at Fulham?
I played with Jimmy, yeah.
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 What was he like? Because we hear that he's the dressing room joker.
Oh, he's more than that, mate. Jimmy. He's the dressing room character. He is a little bit bonkers, but he's good fun as well. He's a good lad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's all sorts of stories. I mean, what have you seen that you can say on camera that he's done?
We were once in Austria pre-season training in the same training camp as Real Madrid when Beckham and Woodgate and that was there.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we got up for breakfast, and I was in a room, sharing a room with Mark Pembridge, and I was upstairs in the rooms above the kitchen, and it was really, really hot. And I came down for breakfast one morning and I shouted over to the manager, you need to change my rooms. Chris Coleman said, why is that, big man? And I said, well, it's too warm. We're here pre-season, need a cooler room. We're above the kitchens. And Jimmy come up behind me with a big pot of yogurt and poured it over my head. He said, that'll cool you down, big man. So Fabio Capello was looking over his glasses, Real Madrid manager, as if to say, what is going on with this crazy bunch here? But yeah, Jimmy cooled me down by pouring the yogurt over my head, a big bowl of it dripping over my head. So I went upstairs and snapped his golf putter.
Didn't Capello eventually call him up to the England squad?
I think he did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
That was because he was good at pouring yogurts over people's heads.
Over goalkeepers' heads. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's another superb character within football, Jimmy. But yeah, some good stories there about him. Later on, after Middlesbrough and Fulham, you dropped down in the leagues to the likes of Oldham and Chesterfield. What was the difference between playing in those leagues and in the higher leagues?
Well, unfortunately, age catches up with you. So when I left Fulham, I was 36. I had a loan spell at Sheffield Wednesday, where I managed to score a goal from a corner, against your rival Southampton, against them.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so 3-2 down, minute to go. up for the corner, header 3-3.
Lovely.
I've got a lovely picture in upstairs in the attic of a certain young 17-year-old Gareth Bale looking up at me as I just had the ball in the goal. So yeah, it's a nice little picture, that. Yeah, and then on to I went to Oldham because John Sheridan, probably my best friend in football, is he was manager there and he wanted me to go as player coach. So I'd done all my coaching badges whilst I was still at Fulham. Passed all my coaching badges, and so I went to Oldham as player coach. So played a couple of seasons there, and then John went to Chesterfield as manager. I went with him there as player coach. So I managed to get to 41 when I knew then it was time to call it a day, because I couldn't move as quickly as what I used to.
Okay, yeah.
So then I became his assistant manager, his goalkeeping coach, and I had 9 years then as a coach, and then I came out of the game at 51.
Right. Okay. So which divisions were they in at the time then?
Chesterfield, we won League 2 at Chesterfield, went up to League 1. Oldham was League 1. So I've done all 4 divisions.
Done all 4 divisions. So obviously, with yourself being a goalkeeping coach, did you ever think of going into management full time? So I noticed you had a couple of caretaker spells. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. It was probably that made me realise that it wasn't for me, really. The little caretaker, although didn't do too bad at Chesterfield, was caretaker manager and then caretaker at Notts County for 1 game, and it wasn't for me. It just didn't suit my character at all. It was better as an assistant working with the manager and the players together, because a manager tends to avoid the players, the dressing rooms, and but that wasn't for me. So being a caretaker manager made me realise that management wasn't for me. And then when I got to 51, I just got a little bit sick of being away constantly from the family and decided things had to change. So I thought, I'm going to come out of the game. I'm going to do a little bit of punditry, which I enjoy doing. Do a bit of work on the after dinner circuit. So it's not like I've come out of the game completely, but I'm getting to spend more time with the family, which is very important to me. So I always said that I'd go back in if I got bored, and then I struggled really. I struggled mentally without the routine and the structure in my life, and I've been quite open about mental health issues, and I really struggled. So I put together a charity with some ex-footballers that have been quite open about their own problems after football. So we set up a charity called Watch, which is Walking and Talking Charity Hikes. And we've done coast to coast. We're doing Kilimanjaro next year, hopefully, providing that COVID has completely disappeared. And we did the 3 peaks just last month. So, and we've raised a lot of money, and there's a lot of people benefit. So that takes up a lot of time as well. So, and it's something we're really pleased about, because mental health is a big, big problem in any walk of life.
Yeah.
So we're just helping all the small charities, raising funds and donating to try and help.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, in this day and age, mental health. There's a lot of people that don't like to speak about things. So that's a great thing to be doing. The charity called Watch, you say?
It's called Watch, Walking and Talking Charity Hikes. #Walking's brilliant.
Okay, cool. We'll put a little link into our subscription to that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, thank you.
It's well worth.
So I'm pretty busy. Like I've got I think structure in your life, and I'm a big thing for having a diary and putting things in the diary, just so I've got that structure back in my life, which I had when I played football, because you're told what time to be at training, what you're going to do, what you're going to eat, what time you're going to eat, what time you're going to go to bed, what time's the game on Saturday, what time's the coach losing, and it trains the brain. And over a period of 35 years that I was in the game, when I came out of it, I really struggled, and I didn't see it coming. So, but
yeah,
all good now, and I get to play a bit more golf as well, so which is nice.
Yeah, always nice to get on the golf field. Definitely. So in your time as a player, did you ever get the opportunity to play against the Bournemouth at all?
I did, yeah. I did. I played there for Oldham.
Yeah.
Against
Danny
Big Fletch.
Court. Yep.
Big Fletch when he was around playing. So yeah, I have played a couple of times against Bournemouth, yeah. When I was at Oldham. I can't remember what the scores were and that, but yeah, I can remember the long, nice trip down there. And then my daughter ended up going to university in Bournemouth as well. So it's not a place that's strange to me. I have visited the place a little bit, and it's very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we start to look at Saturday's game, Saturday's big game. So obviously, after 2 decades, like you said, Forest are back in the big time. How do you feel that the club's done in the transfer window, and who's the most exciting prospect that they've signed?
Well, for a start off, the job that Steve Cooper did from getting 1 point from the first 7 games, Chris Hughton was manager, and Forest got 1 point from 7 games at the beginning of the season, and to actually be going to Bournemouth at the end of the season with, if they won the game, they got automatic promotion. But obviously Bournemouth won the game and deserved promotion, automatic. But I just think the job that he did was a miracle, really. What he did, and what he has done is brought the city back together. He lives in the city centre, Steve Cooper does, and he mixes with the fans and he talks to them in the street, and it's very, very important. And the reason the club's not been out the Premier League for 23 years, I think it is. Well, they've had 30 odd managers in that time, so I think that just spells it all. 23 years, 30 odd managers, no continuity. But now they seem to have it. They've got an owner that's backed the manager, which is good. Spent a lot of money, but the lad that's just come in, Gibbs White, he looks a good player. He looks a good player. So he's the exciting one. And then for Forest to be signing the likes of Jesse Lingard and paying big wages, you would never have seen it coming. But they're there, and they're there on merit. So fair play to the job that they've actually done. And like Bournemouth, the main thing is this season that you've got to stay in the league. Nothing else. That if both teams stay in the league, then both teams, for me, will have achieved something really, really good. So
No,
but
definitely.
These are the games, aren't they? Bournemouth, Forest. These are the games that, like, both teams will be thinking, well, if we can take points from that, then that's a good way to survival. So
massive.
These games are the massive games, and I'll be at the game on Saturday as well. I'll be working at Forest, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully it should be a good game of football.
The keeper's a good keeper as well. Henderson, he's been outstanding so far this season. So I hope both teams. I like both teams. I hope both teams can stay in the Premier League, because it'll be a massive achievement if they do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I couldn't agree more. So even though it's only very early doors, currently they sit in 14th Forest, 1 win, 1 draw and 2 defeats, I think, isn't it?
Mm-hmm,
I mean,
that's right.
Is that kind of where you would vision Forest being after the first sort of 4 games with those kind of results?
I think they'll be pleased with it. Point away at Everton, they took the lead and they just couldn't hold on. Played pretty well, had attempts at goal, which is good. Bit fortunate to beat West Ham, but if you're going to stay in the league, you need luck anyway. A lot of luck anyway. And then on Sunday against Tottenham, I thought they played very, very well, and it could have gone either way. So I think the start that they've had is what they probably would have expected. Yeah.
No, I mean that's the same for us. I mean, to be fair, when you have to play Villa, which we all thought would be a tough game for us down at Dean Court, got the 3 points there, played well that day. And the next fixture, you got to go to Man City, and then you face Arsenal. then you face Liverpool, and obviously we all
Yeah.
know what happened
Yeah.
on Saturday at Anfield. So for us, I would say 3 points for us is about right from.
Yeah, you take that. I think if you look at them fixtures at the beginning of the season, you say we're going to have 3 points on the board. From me on the outside, you'd take that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, we now know that Scott Parker's departed from the club. What kind of effect? I mean, have you been in that position before where you've lost a manager sort of early doors in the season
I haven't. No, I haven't. It's, but I would imagine it's very difficult for the players. Whether the players got on with the manager, I don't know. But it's not ideal timing.
No.
But I'm sure that they'll have someone else in mind. And I feel sorry for Scott because I think he did a great job last season, and I don't think he did a bad job at Fulham either when he was there. So, but these things happen, and he'll probably be back in the game. But what the reasons for it were, I don't particularly know. But obviously something's gone on, and your board weren't very happy about. So they have to move quickly because you don't want to be going in the Premier League with no manager.
No.
The longer it goes on, especially if results are not happening, then I would imagine that it does cause a lot of unrest.
Yeah, well, I've just heard that apparently it's Gary O'Neill that's going to take caretaker charge.
Okay, I know Gary is a nice guy, good lad. Worked hard on getting his badges and that, yeah. So
yeah, he's been with us since around the time Jonathan Woodgate come in.
Right, okay.
Been with us quite a while, so he's taken charge alongside Tommy Elflick and Sean Cooper. So
people that know the club anyway.
Yeah, people that know the club. So and I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of names bashed about with taking the hot seat full time.
Yeah,
so it's going to be interesting. I doubt before we get to the City ground that we'll have a permanent manager, but it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, especially. I mean, to be fair, I'm quite shocked, but at the same time, with the way he's been in his press conferences lately, I can see why the board have probably made that decision. But if we could just touch quickly on our goalkeeper, young Mark Travers, who I'm sure you know a little bit about. Obviously, last year he won the Golden Glove in the Championship. What does it do to a goalkeeper when a side gets battered like we did on Saturday? What do you think that would have done to a young lad's confidence?
Well, obviously, it's on your mind. It will be on his mind. But I like him. He's a good prospect. And Bournemouth have done fantastically well with Ramsdale as well, and with young goalkeepers. So, no, I think it's important because he's certainly a talented goalkeeper. There's no doubt. And I watched them goals, and I can't really say that he was at fault for too many.
No.
If any, he wasn't at fault for any. So it makes a difference if maybe a couple of them, maybe one had slipped through his hands and gone in or whatever, or one he was really badly positioned for one, but that wasn't the case. It was that I think that the defence was a little bit all over the place. So
in fairness, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so it'll be, they'll be doing work this week on getting that right and him working behind the defence, and I don't think it'll bother him too much. I don't think it'll affect him too much. He's a talented young goalkeeper, and if anything, it might do him the world of good. Yeah. Sounds silly, but it might do him the world of good because these things are going to happen in his career. So better to get them in early.
Yeah.
But now he made some great saves as well in the game. So
yeah. I mean, when I actually went up to Anfield and I was sat there thinking, what's this going to do to his confidence? Because he has been superb for us.
Yeah, he's a good goalkeeper.
I just thought, not questioning his ability, but just thinking from a goalkeeper's perspective, because it's easy just to pinpoint the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But when you've got 9 goals go past you like that, I just, thought from a goalkeeper's perspective, what would happen to his.
I've had 7. I've had 7 at Blackburn. When remember Shearer and Sutton, SAS.
Yeah.
I let 7 in at Blackburn, and I can't really recall that it affected me that much. We're professionals. We get on with it. Forget it. Get on. Move on to the next game.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, because obviously he's got a strong number 2 behind him in Neto, who we signed from Barcelona.
Yeah.
So obviously he's an experienced goalkeeper. But yeah, no, I'm hoping that Travs keeps his place, because he's got a massive future in the game, like Ramsdale.
Yeah.
So who do you think we need to keep an eye out for at the weekend then? Who's Forest's biggest danger man?
Well, Gibbs White, without a doubt. I mentioned him before. I've watched him in the 2 games, and he's been outstanding. He has been really, really good. He looks a really good player. So he's the one you got to watch out for.
So yeah, he was. He signed a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, his 2 games. Yeah,
million, something like that.
That's with all the add-ons.
Oh, that's with all the add-ons.
Yeah. So
right.
20 odd, and then add-ons with score how many got, I think, goals, appearances, or whatever. You know what add-ons and anything can be in there.
Yeah, all the add-ons and that.
So but it shows that that Steve Cooper's getting back. I think they spent close to 80 million now. So
yeah,
it's a big layout.
Yeah, definitely been backed, and rightly so. So to flip it around the other way, then, what weaknesses could Bournemouth possibly expose on Saturday?
Well, I watched the game at Everton, and I thought they defended a little bit too high, to be honest, and they got done with the ball over the top. So
yeah,
it's a dangerous game playing in the Premier League when you've got people that make great runs and they've got a pace if you're going to play a high line. But I think they've been pretty consistent. They're very hard-working, Forest are, and they're organised. Steve Cooper's an organised manager, and they are organised, and they've not really been carved open. They haven't been carved open, so it's been a little few individual errors that have cost them goals. So it's just that high line that worries me sometimes, because the ball came from Pickford, one direct ball, and it was a great run. But the defence was so high that it was just one long ball. So,
yeah, okay. Obviously, you got a couple of former Cherries players amongst the squad there. Obviously, Steve Cook, who's an absolute legend down here, and the youngster Sam Surridge. Do you think that they've still got a part to play this season?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
players that Forest have signed.
He started with Surridge at Newcastle. Things didn't go too well for him, but he played in the cup and scored a few goals at Grimsby. He's a good goal scorer. He knows where the back of the net is, and
I was surprised we sold him in the first place, to be honest.
Yeah, but I think Cook ended up. I'm not sure. I think Cook ended up with a Player of the Year last year.
Oh, for Forest, did he?
Yeah,
that wouldn't surprise me.
But he's I wouldn't mind playing behind him. Put it that way. He's very steady Eddie, isn't he? He's
and I mean, both of those players. Really, I don't think we should have ever let go. Really, but obviously that's history now. But fair play to you guys for having them, and I hope they have a good season, because they're both good professionals, and they always did well for us. So fair play to them. Obviously, we've just touched on Dean Henderson. So, as a former international player yourself, do you think Gareth should be considering him for the England squad for this coming World Cup?
There's been talk of it, and he's talented. He's been the outstanding player of the season so far. But he's going to have a lot of work, and your goalkeeper is very important. When you're going into a football season in the Premier League, your goalkeeper's got to perform well, otherwise you're going to get relegated. And so far, he's been the outstanding player.
Yeah.
So, and he's going to have to continue that if Forest are going to have a chance of staying in the league. But I do think he'll get. He'll be close. He'll be close. There's no doubt about it. He will be close, because I think Gareth likes him.
Yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I think he'd be in my squad if I was selecting it. But obviously, he's got competition, obviously, from the likes of Nick Pope, Ramsdale, obviously Pickford. He's got a lot of tournament experience. So there's quite a few goalkeepers out there he's competing with. So it'd be an interesting one to see.
Yeah.
Gives Gareth a bit of a nice headache if Henderson keeps performing well.
That's right.
Just to tie things off, then, really.
Yeah.
Saturday
Don't want to miss my tea time.
Yeah. Score prediction on Saturday. What do you?
Well, I think it'll be a cage. I think it'll be a cagey game because both teams really don't want to lose the game. Because you would think at the end of the season that they'd be fighting it out to stay in the Premier League. Realistically, I hope that's not the case because I like both. So I don't know. I've just got a feeling it's going to be a score draw.
Yeah, I'd probably.
I think it'll be really, really cagey.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you, and especially now with us, losing.
And I think both teams, if you just said you take a point now, probably wouldn't be happy because it's an important one to win, really.
Yeah.
I think more so with Forest, really, because you got to win. We always say you got to get your points in your own games to have a chance. So.
Yeah, no, definitely.
We're going to go to Man City on Wednesday first.
Yes, we've got to entertain Wolves, so that's going to be a difficult one, especially that they've had a winless game run of 11 games, I believe.
Yeah.
So they're going to be gunning, and we've obviously got to be bouncing back from that terrible weekend that we've just had. League prediction. Where do you think you finish?
Well, like I said, I think any fourth bottom will be an achievement for both teams. And I'll probably think that realistically, maybe fourth, fifth bottom.
Yeah, no, I'd probably agree with you. Well, it's been lovely to have you on, Mark.
Nice one, mate.
Fascinating to learn about your career and everything that we've spoken about today. So I'm sure our viewers are going to love watching this one. So
nice one.
Thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Good luck for the rest of the season.
And to you. It's been a privilege. Take care, buddy. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye. A big thank you there to Mark Crossley for coming on today up the Cherries in all departments to speak about his career and to give us a lowdown on his thoughts for the weekend's game against Forest. If you enjoyed the interview, we've got plenty more on the channel. We've had Harry Redknapp. We've had plenty of Cherries legends in the likes of Steve Cook, Steve Fletcher, and other players as well that are part of the history with the likes of Paul Mitchell, Sean Till, with plenty more in the pipeline to come. So give the channel a like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, up the Cherries.